It gives me great pleasure to turn over the podium to Chad Holliday, Chairman of the National Academy of Engineering and former President and Chairman of DuPont, where he was known for his commitment to sustainability and corporate responsibility. Chad is also dedicated to the mission of the Academy. He chaired the most recent study, congressionally requested study of the NRC titled Research Universities and the Future of America, which highlights the substantial deficiencies in our research university base. He takes that study out to the public to rally support from industry and all of us, as a matter of fact, relying on research competitiveness for the future of our country. Chad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dan, and good morning. In the few minutes I have today, I'll only talk about one topic, the deficit. No, not that deficit. It's a leadership deficit, perhaps even greater than the dollars and cents deficit our nation and our world are facing is an issue of leadership. And I'd like you to think with me about the leaders you have known and what it takes to be a leader for the next few minutes this morning. Think back about a leader you followed. Maybe even you made the statement, I will follow him or her anywhere. And what were the criteria of that leader? And I think one of those criteria will be honesty and ethical standards. They, of course, have many other characteristics, but that would be critical. And that's what I'll be talking about today, honesty and ethical standards. And fair warning, I'm going to have a request for you at the end, so listen carefully. So where do the professions stand when it comes to honesty and ethical standards? The Gallup Survey Company, one of the oldest, most respected survey groups in the world, have been asking that question about the professions for 36 years. And I'm going to give you the results 36 years ago and today for 5 major professions. As I think about many people just coming into the Academy today, that spans a good part of your career and your contribution. So you can think about during my career so far, this is the range of what's going on. The first one is a banker. In 1976, only 34% of the American people would rate a banker high or very high in relationship to honesty and ethical standards on a 5-point scale. So think about, have the bankers improved or gone down in that period of time? And I'll get to the answer quickly. It's a shock they only went down to 28% by last year. A journalist, and I'm talking about a real journalist now, not a blogger, 33% high or very high in 1976, gone down to 24% today. What about our friends, the lawyers? 25% down to 19%. And we could not be in this town if we didn't have a member of Congress rated the same way. They were 15% at the first survey. They're at 10% last year, and most of them would take the 10% and run today. So if you add all that up, the average of the ones I gave you were 27% high or very high on honesty and ethical standards 36 years ago, down to 20% last year. Now, of course, the last one is the engineer. This is your career. This is your time. First, where did you pick up the rating as you started? And did it drop significantly like all the other professions? Engineer rated 48% high or very high in 1976, markedly higher than all the rest. So in this environment where all the other professions were going down, where do you think engineers went? Up to 70%. And in that low, very low category, we only had 3%, which is just amazing. So as you now take on this mantle of engineer, which is not new to you, I want you to think about one more step. What if we got the Gallup people in their survey to say, before you ask the question, explain what a National Academy member means. Explain the decades of work someone has to go through. The member that will nominate you, the members that will second you and support you, and then even after all that, the ratio is about 1 in 9 make it through the final selection process. And you describe that person, undoubtedly that high, very high rating would be much greater than the 70%. So be proud to be an engineer. Every time when someone asks you after today, what's your role? Why don't you say engineer? Now, when you start modifying it with all those other great things you've done, be careful, it may go down. And then if the time is right, take 5 minutes to not describe yourself, but describe all your colleagues in the National Academy of Engineering, because we have got to get that word out. So I'm leading up to my ask. It's very appropriate on a Sunday to have the phrase, to whom much is given, much is expected. Now, I'm not suggesting anyone in this room was given anything. But as you sit there and watch candidate after candidate walk across the stage, you'll have some time to think. Think about your parents. Think about your friends, your mentors, your spouse, your children, everyone that one way or another in some way helped you accomplish what you've had today. Because it's from them they have given you very much. And you should thank them for that. So the request I have for you, because of the respect and honesty you have, and because engineers solve problems and get things done, of course I want you serving in the academy, as Dan will talk about extensively, and that's critical, but don't stop there. Be a leader in your community. You don't have to run for elective office to make a change. Make something happen out there, because you walk in the room with the respect and value that's necessary for a leader and the skills of an engineer that are critical. Thank you very much, and congratulations.